Dun, 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 dun.
This is a sham.
No. Nope.
Y'all, just stop.
Welcome to DBL. It's Friday, October 22nd. It's Friday. That's good to know. I'm Tori here with Erica and Al. And we, of course, are going to start with the, God bless you, horrible news and tragedy on the set of a new Alec Baldwin Western called Rust in New Mexico. So according to local sheriffs, Baldwin discharged a prop firearm on set and a projectile was discharged. 2 people were hit. The film's director of photography, Halyna Hutchins, she died from her injuries at 42. The director, Joel Souza, was also injured, but is currently out of the hospital. Baldwin released a statement saying there are no words to convey my shock and sadness regarding the tragic accident that took the life of Halyna Hutchins, a wife, a mother, and deeply admired colleague of ours. I am fully cooperating with the police investigation to address how this tragedy occurred. Here is a picture of Baldwin on set of the film. After the accident, according to witnesses, he kept asking over and over, why was I handed a hot gun?
I think that's a fair question.
Yeah, so let's just take a moment and realize, like, anybody, whether you like them or not, when you shoot and kill and murder someone unintentionally is got to be incredibly traumatic, someone you know on set. What did you think when you first heard the news?
I thought, where are we in this world right now? I mean, I found out about it on Twitter, and it was a disaster.
Yeah.
Halyna was 42 years old. She was a mother. She was a daughter. She was someone's friend. And first of all, the conversation is all about Alec Baldwin and the memes and the conspiracy theories. You know, freak accidents do occur. And you would hope that if someone lost their life, like Halyna lost her life yesterday, that would be the focus and that there would be some mourning and some respect shown. But it was very much the opposite, and I'm just really sad for the world that we live in.
Especially on Twitter.
It was so weird. As Erica was just talking, and she said, hopefully there'd be some respect shown. I laughed. That's where we are. I literally just laughed at what you said because the concept of somebody taking a second to be like, somebody's lost their mom, their friend, a coworker, everybody there is scarred forever. In some way, can we take 10 minutes? No, you can't, because you got to get that meme out, because your meme, if it gets viral, it's how you support your family and support what you're doing. And your conspiracy theory channel on YouTube, this is great. You guys are going to get a bump in this. Who cares that we're talking about real people? This has all been monetized, and this will all be laid out. There'll be another story next week. We'll go with the conspiracy theories. Trump will tweet something kind of backhanded or whatever, and then we'll go with that next week. And this whole news cycle will play out, and we'll forget that there was half a dozen people in that room that are no longer the same person. And I do really appreciate that you took time to empathize and talk about these people, because sometimes just somebody makes a huge mistake, and it seems like whoever handed him a hot gun made an error, Tori.
Yeah, and that error can be sued. I mean, there's wrongful death on the table here. I'm just amazed a live round got on set. That's what a lot of people are asking for right now. In fact, the family of the late actor Brandon Lee, I'm sure this reminded you guys of that, released a statement about the accident, tweeting, "Our hearts go out to the family of Halyna Hutchins and to Joel Souza and all involved in the incident on Rust. No one should ever be killed by a gun on a film set, period." Now, Brandon Lee was killed during the filming of a death scene for the movie The Crow in 1993. His co-star shot him with a .44 caliber bullet from a prop gun he thought was loaded with blanks. Now, that was the last recorded accidental death by a prop gun on a movie set, according to NPR. I also, there's so few women cinematographers. She was making such a name for herself. I don't want to forget her name, as you said, and move directly to the star of Alec Baldwin. Yeah. But we do have to talk about that. What do you think will happen? Do you think he'll be sued? Do you think he'll be charged? Do you think the family will go after anything? The prop master?
That's for insurance companies to sort out, and lawyers. That's not for the regular folks like us. You know, I think, sadly, we're going to see more and more of this. It reminds me of that TikTok. That TikToker that killed herself. She's a young Mexican girl, 20 years old. She tried to film a viral TikTok of her being kidnapped. And I did this on my podcast, Dying for Likes, and it was a hot gun. So one of her friends had a gun to her head, and they had a fake struggle, and the gun went off, and it killed her. And so this is going to happen more and more. That was less than a year ago.
Yeah.
When people are messing around with firearms.
This is a professional movie set with a firearms expert and a prop master.
Until it's not.
Right. Well,
It's always professional, Erica. That's your statement. Everything is safe until it's not. I mean, eventually, when you're dealing with things like this, I would think that this is going to happen more and more.
Well, I think that obviously there are a lot of people who know more about this than we do, who are sitting in rooms talking about how do we proceed forward, because it's not, even if this was the first one, it would be tragic. But the idea that we were all thinking of Brandon Lee yesterday,
right.
the idea that decades later, this could occur again.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there are some very serious conversations to be had about what is necessary on a set like that.
Yeah, and I heard the Lee family asking for maybe air guns and visual effects instead of any kind of projectile. So write us in about what you felt when you heard about this. And again, our love, respect, and our good wishes go out to the Helena Hutchins family and to herself. We are thinking of you. Well, believe it or not, accidents like this do happen on set, and there have been a number of fatalities. So in 2016, the AP reported that from 1990 until the time of publication, 43 people have died on sets, and more than 150 were left with life-altering injuries. In 2018, there was a fire on the set of Edward Norton's Motherless Brooklyn. The New York Fire Department was called in, and a fireman died on set. During the filming of Expendables 2 in 2012, there was an explosion that killed a stuntman. And in 2017, during the production of Deadpool 2, a stunt woman died in a motorcycle crash.
I think I remember that. Was that a black woman? I hope I'm not making that up.
I believe so.
Yes, I remember reading that article. Yeah.
I don't know. Are we going too far with the movies, or is this to be expected when we're dealing with explosives, even if they're fake?
Can I say something that might not be that popular? 43 isn't that many. For the amount of people, we're starting 1990 till now is 31 years. 41 people. We have to look at it from the other side, and that clearly we do have safety regulations that are in place where 43 people, if 43 people have been killed at the fair in the last 30 years or died, would that be like that crazy of a number if you think about how many people?
Well, I think anytime someone dies, and especially in circumstances like this, it's a crazy situation.
Right.
Especially when you think of the intention behind what they're doing and why they're doing it. So when you have your podcast Dying for Likes, they're dying for our entertainment.
Right.
So I think that's what's so, it doesn't feel right to the senses, because you're like, was that really worth someone's life?
Right. Exactly.
But the answer is yes. That's what we're saying as the public.
Yeah.
Yes, this is what's going to get our eyeballs.
But no one should die on a professional
No one's saying they should die, but like Jeff was really honest the other day when he said, I don't want to see somebody tightrope with the harness. I want to see him go across Niagara Falls.
This is movie making, don't you think?
Anything is to get your eyeballs, to make you stop and look over there so they can sell you something.
I don't know. With
is.
everything that we have in advancements of technology, I really think that there has to be alternative ways.
This was a huge mess up. Yes, I almost used another word.
Yeah.
This is a big deal.
A huge deal. And we are giving, again, our thoughts and wishes and prayers out to the Helena Hutchins. Coming up on DBL, we're catching up with the Fonz. Henry Winkler stopped by to tell us how you can purchase some Happy Days memorabilia. But first, could another COVID variant threaten the U.S.? Dr. Coley is here live to answer all of your questions.
I'm nervous.
Closed captioning provided by
So Jay Sartori writes in, it was a fake gun, but a live round that was in the chamber. The gases were trapped inside the rifle, so the gun discharged. Now Baldwin is blaming others. We don't know exactly if it was a live projectile, if it wasn't a live projectile, and we don't want to make speculations, but we do know that at no point should a blank hurt someone in that way, and we do know that it was either during rehearsal or filming a scene, and it was quite up close. So the cinematographer and just like Sierra's close to me, and the director were right in his face. Then he aimed and fired, and now there is some tiny speculation, and again, I don't believe this to be true, that someone like could have set up Alec Baldwin, and there's all this thought. He's not the most loved person in Hollywood, am I right? That is a very rare, small thing that might happen, but in all likelihood, I hate to say this, but my mind goes legally, and when I looked at the lawsuits from the Brandon Lee case, the mother sued everyone. So the director, the production company, the prop master, the firearm safety expert, and I believe they settled. But the idea here is manslaughter on the table? Is negligence on the table here for the prop master? And if you are the prop master and you put a bullet inside of a prop gun, do you have to face charges? And I know that's hard to go there, but my mind goes to that legal way, I guess, and I look back at precedents, and there was civil lawsuits with Brandon Lee, no criminal lawsuits. So I can't imagine being anyone on set. I also can't imagine thinking you guys were making this great movie, and it was Baldwin was producing it. It was a cool Western. And again, at 42, much love to her and her family. So sad.
Yeah, I also did it early.
Welcome back to DBL. So, a new COVID-19 strain is making headlines today, and our viewers have been writing in with questions, but don't worry, Al's not a doctor. We've got a real doctor. Dr. Coley here, thank you, is going to give us all the answers. So our first question, Doc, is from Jasmine, okay? Quote, I've heard there's a new strain of the Delta variant that's more contagious. Should we be worried?
Yes, so there is a new strain, 10 to 15% more contagious, only in the UK right now. We've only had a handful of cases here in the United States, but it is here. But you know what worries me about this is not so much the strain, but the fact that we're getting new strains in the setting of vaccination. We think that the vaccines still work against this one, so I'm not so worried about it right now. You're still going to be protected if you're vaccinated. But again, we're heading in a direction where more and more strains are emerging because the infection is spreading. So we have to stop that spread of infection. And how are we going to do that?
Vaccinations.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping there'll be a strain that's like really easy to beat and we feel bad.
Yeah, one time.
So easy to defeat, we almost feel guilty. Anyway, our next question is from Marcia. She says, there's an area where my coworkers go to smoke, during their breaks. Should I be concerned about this area being a COVID-19 hotspot?
Yeah, so this bothers me for two reasons. One, people should not be smoking.
Yes,
it
I knew that was
increases risk of heart disease and cancer and all these other things. And then the second is the areas where people smoke, yes, are going to create more aerosolized droplets. And so if you think about what you're doing when you smoke is you're actually inhaling that smoke that then goes deep into your lungs where the virus might be living if you're infected and you don't know it. And then you exhale that back out. So you take those little virus particles and you spread them out and you have them being carried on the smoke so they linger in the air. So yes, if people are smoking, avoid that area. Secondhand smoke, and of course the risk for COVID too.
I think you should just show up at every smoking spot like that and just be like, it's really bad for you. But go ahead and just have her like staring at you.
That's what we're concerned about in this moment.
I'm gonna have to wear a gas mask if I go to the smoking spots.
Well, here's our viewer question from Dan. What's the best way to care for my 14-year-old who just tested positive for COVID? My wife and I are vaccinated. Should we quarantine as a family?
I just had a patient like this who called me fully vaccinated and her son tested positive. So yes, unfortunately, because you're having ongoing exposure, you should quarantine. But because you're vaccinated, your protection is probably pretty good. You do, however, have to have that person isolated at home. It's very much what happened with Jeff and Jordan. Remember, Jordan was kind of isolating in the basement away from the kids, particularly if you have another child who might be unvaccinated at home. That's an important thing to do. And then the question of when they should go back to school often comes up as well. A negative test, I say, in this day and age. Before we used to say as soon as the symptoms resolve and it's been 10 days, you can go back. But with Delta, we're seeing virus lingering. So I would say negative test before going back to school.
Negative test. All right. Here's our last question from Joelle, who says, I currently have a cold and I'm scheduled for my second vaccine shot. Should I wait until I feel better?
Yes, absolutely. Because the last thing you want to do, it's sort of like, going to the gym when you have a biceps injury. That's not what you want to do, right? You're just going to make things worse. So if your immune system's already activated from the cold, fighting that infection, you need to wait for that to resolve because you don't want to give it something else to do because it won't do a good job at either of those two things. So that is one of the reasons to postpone vaccination. In fact, if you currently have a fever, currently have an illness or a cold. But as soon as you're done, get in line for that vaccine.
Get on it. That's right. Bicep. I hate when my bicep rips at the gym.
Your biceps have been looking great.
Really?
Yes.
Thanks. I've been doing nothing.
Flex.
Thank you so
How
much.
many times have you ripped your bicep?
Never. That was a joke. It was satire.
No, Jeff ripped his bicep.
Yeah,
on that
I know. It's
bull.
very painful.
It's incredible. That and your pec are kill.
Your pec, yeah. Me too. Thank you so much, Doctor. Now, again, if you have a question you want answered by Dr. Coley, write us on social media. You can also email info@dailyblesslive.com. Again, thank you for the facts, not the fear.
Why are you pointing around me? I was here.
You weren't doing anything.
I asked the question.
We'll be right back.
This is the
government and some states are offering incentives to drive sales of electric vehicles. But several Verify viewers sent us a post that keeps popping up online, claiming electric cars actually have a massive carbon footprint. There's a lot to unpack, so we're going to verify it line by line. Our sources are the U.S. Energy Department, the EPA, the Department of Transportation, car maker Renault, and David Checkle, a professor and electric vehicle expert at the University of Alberta. First, there's the claim that total fuel consumption of U.S. airlines is approximately 19 billion gallons annually. The Bureau of Transportation Statistics says it's true based on 2019 data, although it fell considerably during the pandemic. Next is the claim total fuel consumption for mining or for construction of electric car batteries is approximately 21 billion gallons annually, which is enough to build 250,000 electric car batteries. This is harder to prove because there's no single data source. However, Professor Checkle did some back-of-the-napkin math and estimated that would put the cost of raw materials in each car battery at more than $250,000. He says that would be, quote, ridiculously high, given the average cost of a new electric car. But a detailed analysis would be needed to conclusively prove this false. Finally, the Post claims the lifespan of an electric battery is 10 years and is not renewable and will fill landfills with 50 million pounds of waste. First, while Renault estimates the lifespan of its batteries is 10 years for automotive use, the car maker says the battery can then be used for stationary purposes, like storing power in places other than a car, for up to an additional 10 years. Checkle says nearly all electric batteries don't end up in a landfill because it's cheaper to recycle them than mine new battery materials.
Welcome back to DBL. Goodbye, gray skies. Hello, blue. This is a happy day for me and you. That's right. Henry Winkler joined us earlier to talk about his new movie on today's Chatting with the Stars. We've got Henry Winkler joining us. Yes. Welcome to DBL, Henry. First of all, I gotta address your, is that an Anthony Fauci pillow in the background?
It is Fauci on the couch.
That's amazing.
Love it.
Now, I have to ask you, we saw Ron Howard in the news recently talking about his hair falling out when Fonzie became a bigger character than Richie. What was that like in the moment, being the Fonz, and how did you mend your relationship over the years?
You know, it's very interesting. The fourth year, we did a show on a dude ranch, and he drove a VW Bug, the original Bug. And he drove me home, and we were talking, and it's the only time in all of these 45 years that we ever talked about it. I said, so Ron, how do you feel? He said, you know, I was hired as the star of the show. You don't play star, you did a good job, and the character is good for the show. So, you know, that is the reality. We shook hands. He is like my brother, and that was the only time we talked about it. I never mentioned his hair.
Good call. Smart.
Yeah. So, Henry, you're known as, if not the nicest guy in Hollywood. How do you stay so grateful after all these years in an industry that has turned so many cold?
I am just grateful to be on the earth. I'm having an extraordinary time. I have a new book with Lynn Oliver. I have an auction of, I found out in the pandemic that I'm a hoarder. I'm not kidding. I found boxes and boxes of memorabilia and swag from all the shows. And I thought, you know what? I've had them for 40 years. It's time now to share them with the world.
You've written close to 40 novels. Slow down, Henry. What does being an author have that being an actor doesn't? What's the difference? Talk to me about it.
I will tell you, first of all, I never thought in a million years that my name would be on a book with Lynn. We write together in her office since 2002. It is an accomplishment I was told I would never achieve. And here we are. And I, without modesty, without shame, I say it would be a great holiday gift.
Does he know what he's doing or what?
I know.
On December 7th, as you said, Fonz, there's going to be an auction where people can bid on an outfit of yours that you wore as Fonzie during Happy Days. I didn't know this. There's only 5 Fonzie jackets in the world, right? So why, other than gratitude, do you feel like you wanted to give this away?
After the first year, the first jacket was stolen from the Department of Costumes. So they made 6 jackets, and they put them under lock and key. 1, we ripped out the lining, and I jumped the shark. I used it for water skiing. 2, went to the Smithsonian. It's in the Museum of America. 2 of them I have, and Gary Marshall had 2 jackets.
Okay, so we got to talk about your latest role in the new Wes Anderson film.
In short, the picture was a sensation.
And in it, of course, you played this Uncle Joe. What is it like working with Wes, all the other stars? Did you get to work with Bill Murray at all?
No, I didn't. I have yet to meet Bill Murray. In my whole life. It would be amazing. So Wes Anderson, he is an artist beyond compare. He said to me, Henry, and I thought, oh my goodness, Wes Anderson is going to give me direction now. I said, yes, Wes. He said, could you move a millimeter to the left? I said, I can, and I will. Can I just say that before our interview, I was listening to your conversation about so many different subjects. It was really interesting to listen to you.
Oh, thank you. You're always welcome on our panel.
A compliment from Henry.
I know, that's huge. We're going to clip that and put that on our show reel.
I'm mind blown.
And I'm also going to clip
Sam
the part.
just sounded like
I'm going
she
to clip the
just
part where
found
he
out
said,
about those
you
words.
didn't meet Bill Murray, so you got no shot of meeting Bill Murray.
I know, but I got to talk to Henry Winkler.
Yeah,
You're
that's
always
right.
welcome to join our panel. Thanks, Henry.
Nice. Thank you so much, Henry. It is true what they say. You really are the nicest guy in Hollywood and the galaxy. DBL Nation, you can catch The French Dispatch premiering today, and you can pick up a copy of Henry's book wherever books are sold. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
Attention.
Global supply chain problems are impacting everything from certain canned goods to toilet paper. And many people are wondering how our holidays could also be impacted. Specifically, we're seeing people on social media asking, is there a Christmas tree shortage? Let's verify.
Our sources are Elizabeth Workmeister Schaefer, owner of Workmeister Christmas Tree Farm, and Jamie Warner with the American Christmas Tree Association.
We can't go grow trees fast enough on our farms. There's only...
Schaefer is a second-generation Christmas tree farmer in Shepherdsville, Kentucky. With the onset of the pandemic, she says the demand for her trees is unprecedented.
So they wanted to stay at home and start new traditions with their families.
But that demand has been met with a dire growing season.
You also have the shortage due to pests that have affected the trees.
Altogether, Schaefer says about 90% of her ready-to-cut trees have been wiped out by factors she just can't control.
And it's been tough.
It means if you want a real tree from a farm, don't wait till December.
Thanksgiving weekend, if you don't have a tree by Thanksgiving weekend, it'll be hard to find a fresh cut tree.
Of course, you can always get a fake one, but Schaefer says snag them now.
I've been to Walmart and Hobby Lobby. They already have their Christmas stuff out. So if people are wanting the nicer trees, they need to go ahead and do them now.
The American Christmas Tree Association sums up the tree challenges nationwide. In an email to Verify, the association says, the supply of real Christmas trees will be impacted by the extreme weather conditions, fires, drought, heat, that hammered growers this season. Artificial tree supplies are being impacted by the serious supply chain issues that are plaguing just about every product that is imported into the U.S. So we can verify that yes, there is a Christmas tree shortage this year. Whether you want a real tree or a fake one, plan ahead as far as you can.
And one more thing to keep in mind, that Christmas tree farmer, Elizabeth Workmeister Schaefer, says if you want a pre-cut tree, you could wait and buy one from a third-party seller and not from a tree farm. But she says it means you don't know when exactly it was cut and how long it's gone without water, which means it may not last as long as you'd like it to. With your Verify, I'm Paula Bassan.
I love Dr. Coley. Welcome back to DBL and you. Welcome back to DBL. We love sharing your comments. All right, Shonda wrote, why was that gun loaded with anything? This seems so preventable. Nadine says, I wonder if they test these props before handing them to actors. And Mickey says, I wonder if the movie will be canceled entirely and they give the remaining funds to the family. I was actually wondering that myself. They have shut down production and there I'm sure will be an investigation.
But also maybe that DOP, director of photography, really wanted to see this movie get made and wants to see it completed. So it's the people that knew them best, I'm assuming, you know?
All right, guys, DBL's new every day. We will see you Monday. Have a safe weekend, same time, same place. Bye, guys.